very yellow, isn't it? Good morning, everybody. Calm Biker here. That's sun. It's well into November now, and it's lovely. But that sun is a bit irritating in the morning and in an evening before it gets dark. One of those where when you're heading towards it, you're thinking about double tapping your brakes. Show people a brake light just in case, just in case. It's hard enough to see a car, it's definitely going to be hard to see a bike. Human. Just been watching a news story. Just any lane will do. You get an eye for it, don't you? Just been watching a news story on the TV before I set off for work. And I thought this one had gone away years ago, but apparently no. These big businesses again. I don't like the anti-capitalist methods. Sticking sticks into the eyes of horses. That doesn't make you a great protester, that makes you, well, I won't say because I don't like swearing on my channel, so. But that's not the news story anyway. The news story is just about big businesses and the way they deal with people. I suppose we should have seen it coming when they got rid of just kind of talking to your staff normally and instead brought in HR departments. I suppose we should have seen it coming. HR meaning human resources, because yes, we're just things, aren't we? Things to be used until we run out, like oil. Anyway, how many tangents can one man fit into one vlog? So the news story, it was about tips in restaurants. Now, for those viewers in other countries where tipping is, to British eyes, bizarre, I'm talking about you, America. I don't understand the American model of you definitely tip every time you go somewhere. This 15% or something that you're expected to give. Somebody told me that people in America are actually potentially taxed on the tips. I don't know how true that is, even though nobody knows how many tips they really got. That's weird to our British eyes. In our British eyes, in mine at least anyway, I can only talk for me really. Welcome to the world of tangentia. Yeah, in our eyes it's kind of weird that you would give a tip which is a kind of a thank you for the quality of your service, regardless of the quality of service. So when I go to a restaurant, I like to tip. If the service is appalling, I mean, I don't know how appalling it would have to get to stop me giving a tip, to be honest. They'd probably have to be emptying their nose into the food at the side of the table or something, but at which point you'd still probably eat around it because we're English, you know. I mean, well, it's not, I can understand it. I can understand why I did that. But I will vary my tip depending on the level of service. So if it's really bad service, they might just get whatever change comes out of a note, you know. So if the bill's 38 quid, they might get 2 quid tip. But if it's good service, I tend to go with a 15 or 20%, something like that. But I expect that to go to the person who actually did the waiting, the server or waiter or waitress or whatever you want to call them. I dislike it when there's a tips jar and everybody then shares out the tips, because that, to me, means that if I was working at that place and I went out of my way and bent over backwards to give good service, and I worked with somebody who didn't really care. I mean, we've all done that, haven't we? We've all worked somewhere where there's one person who doesn't really give a damn. I would be annoyed thinking that he was getting, or she was getting, the same amount of the tips as I was getting. You know, it's not fair. This idea that everybody should be paid the same, I disagree with. Everyone should have the same opportunity to get paid the same. But I think you should be paid according to how good you are. But anyway, that aside, even that is better than what a lot of the larger chains of restaurants have been doing. to the point where the government has finally decided to get involved and do an investigation. And this is that the companies in question, and none were named, which is a real shame because I'd like to not give them my custom. But the companies involved are generally taking tips via the credit card machine. That I find frustrating as well. I've started to not do that. I'd rather leave a bit of cash, even though I'm paying on credit card, just in the hope that it goes into the waiter's pocket, you know. But when they take the thing on credit cards, so it comes up and says, do you want to leave a tip? And you put yes and say how much. Well, apparently some companies are just keeping it, not giving the tip away at all. So that waiter that's put in the extra effort, and I know some people will say it's not extra effort, it's the job, but some do. Some really do seem to try. I mean, it might all be fake smiles and what have you, but at least they do try. You know, sometimes they're getting nothing. You're leaving a tip. You think that's going to the person who served you, or at least part of it will be, and the company's just taking a lot. In other cases, they're taking a service charge. So you're giving a tip, which some people call a service charge. You see it, don't you, on some restaurants, service charge included. Very rare, actually, that you see service charge included. But you think that's going to a tip, and they're just taking it. Or they're actually then putting a service charge on that service charge. So they're saying to the waiter, we're going to charge you 10% of your tip to pay for our service of taking the tip over a credit card machine. Hey! The call of these people. And then there were other companies who apparently have been saying, we expect you to get this much tip. He had a camera on, he had a drift. We expect you to get this much of a tip, so we're going to charge you 5% of every meal you sell on the assumption that you're getting a tip. And we're taking a bit of that back for a service charge for ourselves. Now, I want them to name these companies. I think it's a disgrace that it's happening at all. But I do think it's indicative of the way a lot of businesses, as I say, treat their employees as resources, not as people. The government are talking about making it mandatory to put a tipping policy up in restaurants so you can actually see where your money goes. I like to think that might actually embarrass some companies into doing it. Maybe the government's got something right for once. I prefer it that they just said, no, here's the law, all of the tip has to go to the server. There can be no charges, no discounts, no adjustment to your salary whatsoever for tips. They're just for the person who did the serving. What do you reckon? Let me know in them there comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.